Hello, hello. Morning or evening to most of the subs in the US. Let me pop out the chat so I can read your comments. Hopefully the chat box starts coming up now. But if you want to, if you'd like to ask me a question during the stream. Actually, am I in focus? Whoa. I am in focus. That was really intimate, wasn't it? Am I coming in loud and clear with the mic, using a different mic today? And we'll see how that goes. Is it too harsh? I was talking with Karu a moment ago, and he said it was a bit sort of brittle and radio-like. But I wanted to sort of try a different microphone today. If no one likes it, if the majority say it's no good, I'll change to another mic. I've got another mic standing by. Anyway, hope everyone's been well. As usual, talking about the recent videos of the week. Yes, this one is my drawing before people ask. I've gotten back into drawing. I've been letting it go for a long time now. I used to write and draw comic books a long time ago, and I miss it. And I used to draw a lot of the thumbnails and screens for my videos when I first started my YouTube channel. And now I want to get back into it because it's really therapeutic. It's really nice to do. Ah, cool. The feed's showing up. So hopefully the feed, I want to make sure. That, okay, it should be showing up properly all the time. I don't know. Anyway, hope you're all well. Pop out the chat. Yeah, I wanted to, I did a clarification poll because last night before the stream, I put up a poll that was, do you agree with the dating gurus that you should avoid topics like religion, morals, past relationships, etc. when you're on a date with someone just to keep it light? The majority of people said no, but a lot of people, quite sensibly said, you don't hit them over the head with a ton of bricks and be very serious. And I've put another poll up if you go in my community section that clarifies what I was meaning. I meant, should you actively avoid topics that are important to you on the first date, like politics, relationships, past exes, how they acted, religion, kids? Should you avoid these landmines that you could potentially step on if you spend any more time around this person, if you think this person is compatible with you in a way that they're really not? I realize it's good to keep it light, to, have fun on the first date. It doesn't want to be, you don't want it to feel like an interrogation. But I was meaning, should you actively avoid, if you see something, should you actively avoid the topic? I would say no. I would say that you should always be direct. And if you notice something like, oh, that's odd, clarify, ask you, so what do you mean by that? Do you mean this and that? Say it with a smile on your face. Laugh and say, whoa, that's a reaction. Why do you think that? Does it really annoy you? Say it with a smile on your face. So keep it light, have fun, but be direct and sort of rip all those band-aids off with fun at the start because they don't hurt. It hurts later on when you're ripping those band-aids off, the truth ones, after 6 months, a year. That's when it's going to really hurt. Karu says that the microphone's good on stream. Maybe it was Discord. Discord actually, depending on the bit rate, microphones sound drastically different. Really, really different. Well, this microphone is a lot cheaper though. But I wanted to use this one because I haven't used it for a while. And I wanted to see how it sounded on the stream. This is the thing, there's a lot of microphones I like, and then you buy a really good one that really suits you, and it's the microphone. I'll never get rid of my Samsung Q9U. And it's like, well, what do I do with all these other good microphones? They're not crap. So I'll bring them out in rotation every now and then. Anyway, if you want to ask me a question during the stream, make sure you put a whole bunch of emojis next to the question you want directed at me. Otherwise, feel free to chat amongst each other. Roman says, why do you think heterosexual women try and test my male partner and I to see if we sleep with them when they know we are homosexual? And I to see if we will sleep with them. As in the women flirt with you to see if you'd sleep with them, even though they know you're homosexual. Women they love themselves a lot. Women are so self-referential. All roads lead to her. The way they flirt is about her. When women flirt, it's usually about them. It's not really about the dance between the two of you, and it's not really about you. Or actually, it's almost never about you. It's either about them and you, or it's about them completely. So women really have an exaggerated sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. And the way they validate how much they want you to love them. Relationships to most women is how much you love them, how much you see them, how much you adore them, how much you put them on a pedestal. So even though you're gay, it's like, why won't someone else put me on a pedestal? You're a guy. There's still a biological sort of connection there. Like, you're a guy. Am I special? Am I special? Yeah, not in that way because I'm gay. It's like, yeah, but I'm still special though, aren't I? It's like, The only benefit, I suppose, you got being gay, you can be much more direct. You're not hamstrung by your natural predilection to sort of defer to her or to there's not natural validation through a woman that most heterosexual guys have that we need to condition ourselves over. There are some guys that are lucky enough never to have that. They've been raised well. They really put themselves first and women secondary, whereas most guys put women first, unfortunately. Myself included in the past, where you have to condition yourself out of it because you hate the results of putting women first. Yeah, Karu says, because you just haven't found the right woman yet. Even this shows how delusional the middle of the bell curve women out there are. The most of the women out there, even if you're gay, she still wants you to think she's special in her heterosexual way. Love me, love me. But I'm different to all the rest, aren't I, Roman? Not to me, because I don't want you. Hey, August, Darren, Peg, Karu, Rocket, a lot of regulars, Feral Android. Sorry, August Lion, not just August. Martial Arts Oriental Medicine, how are you, man? Hit the like button, subscribe and join the channel, guys, if you feel like it. Helps the channel out. So, again, if you guys want to ask me a question during the stream, make sure you put a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis, but I'll read some of the notable comments under my recent videos. Because in the poll, right, I asked people during the poll, where's the poll? I said, do you agree that you should avoid, like that the dating coaches say, should you avoid important topics to you, like religion, politics, morals, past relationships, kids, whether you want them or not, whether you want to be married, just a lot of stuff that are structurally going to scaffold how you two would potentially have a relationship. And don't just kind of naively just say, well, the longer I can keep the date going, then we can enjoy the naivety of this carefree date. But why waste 2, 3, 4, 5 dates where you could just realize that they're not compatible with you? You can have a nice first date where it's like, thank you, but no thank you. and you realize you can spend the second date with someone else or on your own, or in a much better way. I would, whether it's on your own or with someone else, don't spend any more time around uncomfortable people and moments than you need to. Sure, you don't know the person really as much as you should before that date, where you can ask all the questions and stuff. Keep it lighthearted. I understand. Keep a smile on your face, but don't avoid going into areas of conversation with levity, but to reveal the important things like where she holds her beliefs. I remember one really eye-opening one where I picked up a girl. She was working in a store, and she seemed like she was attractive. And when we went on the date, we went, we got a coffee, we went for a walk around the beach and blah, blah, blah. Just kind of, it was, I always go on conversational dates. I don't go to the movies on the first date. I always go somewhere where I can talk. Lunch, coffee, a walk and talk, things like that. I know a lot of girls say if they get a walk and talk date, they don't go because they think they're worth more than that. Well, we don't know each other. I want to, through conversation, get to know if we both want to go on a second date where we can have a bite to eat and stuff like that. But I remember that first real date was the conversation came out. We were joking and flirting and talking about life in any direction. This is the important thing. You're free. You talk about anything and everything. You don't censor yourself. Your humor comes out. Be you. Of course, you're on a first date and you're going to temper it with, polishing yourself a little bit, but you're still you. It's kind of like when you have to show up for like an event, you're still you. You dress up a little bit. You might do that with your character, but you don't completely put on a mask where you're somebody else. Anyway, during this walk and talk date, we were talking about everything. We were joking. We were feeling each other's personality out. And, I found things out about her ex and her and the dynamic and what she didn't like about her ex, which really I didn't agree with. She was blaming her ex for a lot. And I was asking for examples like, my ex was an asshole and he was this, and she was talking about him negatively all the time. And I said, well, give me examples. Like what? I wanted to know. I wanted to get a clearer picture. And the examples she gave me were really nothing. She was basically just annoyed. I didn't really think any of them were worthy of her really hating him that much. And I kind of said like, oh, it doesn't sound too bad. Oh yeah, I guess that's a bit ordinary, or what was, at most it was, he wasn't very attentive. He maybe took her for granted, but like the degree to which she was annoyed at him, it was like far exceeding what she was describing him as. And then the thing that really put the nail in the coffin was like, because you could tell like we both liked each other physically, and we were both happy to be there. We were enjoying each other's company. But I remember when we were flirting, I was saying, I said about kids, like I never want kids ever. And she's like, oh, she'd never had kids with her ex because she knew it wasn't working and she wasn't convinced he was the right guy for her. And she was with him for a couple of years. And then it's sort of like, yeah, I never want kids ever. And she's like, yeah, as well. And I said, and I actually said, oh, what would happen if you accidentally fell pregnant? Oh, I don't believe in abortion. It's like, oh, glad I asked that question. So you really need to, any question that's popping in your head, ask it. Because you might be satisfied with, okay, I've dipped my toe in the kids one. She seems to be on the same page. Let's get out of that and let me trust an exaggerated form of no kids. Like, oh, she wants no kids. She's not into it. She hates it as much as I do and blah, blah, blah. No. So, and she did, and she was basically like, well, you should get a vasectomy then if you don't want kids. And it's all of a sudden I saw parts of her character where she really she was very one-sided. She wanted things her way, our morals about things, how men and women treat each other. The more I started to talk to her, it was very opposite. It was like she expected this, but she wouldn't give this. She expected a man to do this, but she wouldn't do certain traditional things that would be compatible with that. So ask questions. Keep it light, but reveal everything, guys. That's what I meant about the poll. Don't avoid those topics. Don't avoid them at all. And look, I've gotten more. So feel free to, in my community tab, I've posted a clarification to that poll. And the ratio is similar, but it's higher. It's higher on the second clarification poll. We've got nearly 40% of people think I should. Nearly 40% of people say I should avoid topics that are important to me on dates. Now, to me, that's worrying. Again, do what you want. But nearly 40% of you so far think that you should avoid serious topics in conversation on dates. Why would I waste multiple dates on someone that's becoming more and more dangerous? The more and more I'm avoiding things, and the more and more I can't avoid what's in front of me. I can't unsee what I see, and I want to see reality. And most of you, nearly 60% of you, are saying, yeah, you should actively avoid those topics and just keep it lighthearted. Keep it lighthearted, but do not avoid the topics. No way. Because for me, openness and lightheartedness, like, you might go to bed with her sooner or later. Would you rather know sooner than later? I would. Especially with the example I gave you with that girl. Even if I use protection, like, they're not 100% guaranteed. And yeah, you get a girl you just started dating on the first time you sleep together. Oh, I'm pregnant. And you think, oh, that's cool. So, morning after pill, like, no. Or, oh, I'm very religious. I'm very firm on this subject. It's like, holy shit. Yeah. And I guarantee it's very important to you after that. I guarantee you'd be answering very differently on that poll after that. Look, don't get me wrong. I've been lucky to avoid, especially when I was in my 20s, just out of circumstance and sheer dumb luck, I was able to avoid some of those things. But some of them, even though I didn't know myself that much, I knew I was very firm on lines that I knew I shouldn't cross because there was no coming back. If there's a line where there's no coming back, please, guys, for your own sake, know how you're going to respond and what you're going to do. At the very least, condition yourself not to be afraid to say, let me think about it, or not yet. Do not let someone strong arm you into doing something where you've got no turning back, but they want you to do that. And then you have to take responsibility for it, like kids or, if you've got a question mark, if a girl can't sort of be happy with, let me think about it, I need time, and if she's pressuring you, then trust your feelings about it. Yes, and I said feelings as a guy. If you're feeling crap, what's wrong with going, I feel crap, and why? And then when you ask why with your feelings, then it's apparent because it's her pressuring you. It's her making you uncomfortable. It might be you with your inability to speak. Ask why towards your feelings, and you come up with some really liberating, clarifying answers. Martial Arts Oriental Medicine says, do a series of human stories, caricatures like these, that would be really cool. He's talking about the drawing. Well, I want to get back into doing comic books, and that was my drawing style. And I've been thinking about doing a lot of the topics I do in my videos, doing them as one long stories, but chapters relating to these topics, like in my videos, but doing one long story, like a dating period in my life. And a lot of these lessons that I learnt as more like an autobiographical comic book story. And so if I ever get it done, I'll make it available to you guys to sort of buy. But yeah, before I did YouTube, I used to write, draw, and self-publish comic books. So yeah, I didn't just oh, fuck. I didn't just magically learn to draw overnight. I've been drawing and illustrating since I was 7 or 6 years old, something like that. And I've never really stopped. That's one thing in my life. If there's one thing I can say, I could never lose an affinity for, that the one thing that's home, that's meditative, that's my thing, is drawing and stories. And I love it because you can take everything away from me, but you can't take like the price of a pencil and paper away from me, which is like $1 or $2. Like, it's really nice to know that you've always got that sanctuary. It's really great to have that thing that you can wake up for that's never going to be taken away from you. And if I lost my hand, my right hand, I'd learn to draw with my left hand. It would be hard, but you know. Okay. Any questions? Martial arts oriental medicine says politics are very important because it's worth it. Look, if it's very important to one person, it's very, like, politics aren't really important to me, but it's very important that I realize if it might be important to her, if it comes out in the conversation, realize where a lot of their character resides. It might be politically. It might be over emotionally. It might be that they're more neurotic than you, or vice versa. They could be more extroverted than you're introverted. Don't be afraid to reveal the major pillars of their character and where their self-belief is, where they identify themselves as. So for me, if someone's more politically identified, like someone's a ist, like a feminist or a communist or whatever it is, right? If they're like, that kind of tells me that they're less personal than I would have hoped them to be. You know, through the conversation, you can reveal these things. You'd hope before you go on a date, you could vet them through conversation, texts, emails, phone calls, or whatever. Yeah, don't waste your time in hope, guys. Okay. Questions. Melee says, I don't put women first. Yeah, nor should you. I mean, your family, friends, or if you have someone in your life that, in terms of some people outside of you, they're in first place. But you should never, because the good thing about putting yourself first, like, not so much, because selfish has a derogatory term today, like it's seen as a negative. So if you want another word that's synonymous with that is self-interest, to coin like a Randian phrase, is like be self-interested all the time, because it helps you be conscious there. You're not on autopilot. You're not just saying yes to everybody else. And other people appreciate you when you're self-interested enough to listen and say the words you mean now. You're conscious. So you're listening and saying your yeses and nos. So you're self-consciously interested in being in this real-time relationship now with a person, or a friendship, or whatever. And they'll appreciate that. People appreciate much less someone that they're leading around on a leash, a yes machine, if you're not consciously there. It's what most people are in jobs, in relationships, and all that. So it's got a negative term today because they advertise selfishness as negative. Yes, it's a negative if you're using people against their will, if you're manipulating people, if the ends always justify the means to you. If it's like, I just want what I want and I'll step on this person's neck that I say I love, and I'm happy to use them in that way to get what I want. That's sociopathic, that's narcissistic. But I'm saying if you're cooperatively and what's the word? I'm going blank at the moment. Maybe I need another sip of coffee. Yeah, if you're coffee did it. If you're fairly and consistently selfish, as in you use the golden rule, you treat people fairly in the way you want to be treated, you're not one-sided, and you're fair about things as much as you can be in that way via the golden rule, then they will appreciate your conscious selfishness, because you're trying to be yourself in the moment and say your yeses and nos, and you expect them to be honest in that way so you can get the real person as well. So put yourself first in a very fair golden rule kind of way, because you will respect yourself, you'll like who you are, and so will they. And if they don't, they're not for you. They're probably like a lot of the sheep out there who sleepwalk in life. The women expect to be in a relationship in a one-way street where the guy just says yes, and guys are in a one-way street of just saying yes to her. It's compatible. She's leading you around like a dog, but that's not the kind of relationship that most people I'm thinking that are subscribed to me would want. Most of us want a compatible, fair relationship between a man and a woman. Yeah, Vero says, not eating haggis doesn't mean I dislike Scottish. Yes, men and women are different. If you say like, I'm not a big fan of romantic movies or romantic comedies, it's like, and if she's so strict and like, oh my God, I want men who are like that, and you've got to be this, you've got to be that. Don't have too much perfect things in your list about some fictional person you imagine they need to fit into a box for you. You should really be worried about what your realistic standards are that any general decent person should be able to meet in terms of, I'm more a homebody, I'm more an introvert, I respect fairness. She doesn't have to be exactly like me, but our values need to be the same. She doesn't need to draw like me, but like how we treat each other, what we did, where our filters of fairness, patience, anger, cooperation, give and take, those sort of things need to be similar. We need to be on the same page. And a reason why some of those things for you guys who may not be, aren't self-interested enough to find these philosophical things interesting, to be able to vet them in that way with a person, is that structural things in someone's life, like I gave the example in the previous video where I had an ex that loved traveling all the time. She was a real traveler. That physical structural thing in her life, that says a lot because it's who she is. She identifies as a traveler. It's where she spends all her time. Aside from working, that's where she lives. That's where she sees life. And it's worthy noting that, and not like me thinking, well, she can have that on her own mostly. I'll join her part-time on her traveling, but most of our life will be, reasonably at home, doing the everyday couple things. It's like, no, in her lives, traveling was a massive component. And the homebody lifestyle that I enjoy is kind of like a quaint, a treat that we do sometimes, but as much as possible, we're always leaning towards traveling, working our asses off, making money so we can travel. And you need to have conversations about that to know where the person is. So those things, like if a person's extroverted compared to an introvert, or they're very outgoing compared to you're more of a homebody, through conversation, you can really reveal where people sort of want to live and where their values lie. Just the guy says, only if you think it has potential for long-term, otherwise why bother talking about difficult things? Sure, but that's why I said dating. I didn't say hookups. I didn't say flings. I didn't say having fun. Like what I hoped people understood about me saying dating was dating means you're dating for long-term. It's more meaningful, So sure, if it's fun, who gives a crap? Put on a mask for all I care. Put on the fetish mask of I'm the tough guy that I like to have this fantasy with a woman, and act that way for the date and get your rocks off and then never see them again, as long as you're honest about it and they're both playing along. But I wouldn't agree about putting on a mask and lying to a person. put on the mask as long as you both know what you're doing and you're both putting on that bravado. But if you're dating where you're talking the serious language, like, yeah, I want to find someone. Yeah, I'm tired of like the carousel. That's what I was talking about. That's why I use the word dating. Darren says, the thing is most can't hold a conversation. It is more an interview. Yeah, that's the thing that's been lost too. It's uncomfortable if one person's interviewing you, of course. Like the art of relaxed conversation is gone. Like people aren't used to it. So of course it's uncomfortable. Like in these days, especially because of like men and women online fighting each other and being in their own separate little groups, it's like they turn on dates interviewing each other as oppositions. Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. His comment is, keep spitting truth, buddy. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for the donation. So, yeah, I think the art of conversation is lost. I keep saying, learn to think better, write, so you can think and express it better. Because people are being censored more and more. There's too much political correctness. You're told not, what you should and shouldn't say. So if you can't speak well, you can't think well, and of course, all you turn up with is rehearsed pickup lines or rehearsed lines that you interview people with. And it's awkward because you don't go on dates for that business-like interview. You go on dates to feel good. Dates belong, for me anyway, dates belong more in the realm of relaxed personal affairs. Like you hang out with your friends because you want to let go and have fun. You go on a date because you want to have fun and they want to feel good, right? But we're turning up to dates in interview business mode because we don't know how to be any other way. We spend so much time in these little pockets of the manosphere and the female sphere, butting heads with the opposite sex, and then turning up in that same mode. You're not being honest with yourself. You show up on dates because they're supposed to be fun. So allow them to be fun. And the best way you can protect yourself while still maintaining that funness, which you want them to be, is be open with the way you speak and not have a filter, and treat them like you're going out there with a fun friend without censoring yourself. And if they get offended, then fine. Go out with the next person that can be fun conversationally, where you're not censoring yourself, where you don't feel like you're going out with an SJW. There's a barometer for you. Do you feel like you're going out with an SJW? Can you talk about anything? You don't have to actively talk about these subjects. They're real kind of mood killers, but you should be able to have fun with them. So for instance, if I feel like in that moment, because the conversation's going out there, if I feel like saying, yeah, not like those like snowflakes out there that think like blah, 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 and I've got a smile on my face, I'll say that, I'll do that. And her reaction will gauge whether or not she's on the same page. And your astute ability to read her as well. Again, why I think it's important to be interested enough in this stuff to think and speak better and write this stuff, like develop your own philosophy that helps you be confident in your own life when you're single. Like you're not dating, you just like your life and you know why you like your life and you like who you are, and you won't let yourself take steps backwards anymore like you did with your ex, and you're really clear on certain things, not stubbornly clear, but like liberatingly clear, right? And then if you start dating and whoever you come across in your life, you've got much more self-confidence, not in a bravado way because you've learned game, but because you really, I'm trying not to use cliche words, but you know what I mean. A lot of this stuff is so common sense, and we're trying to find STEM language to make ourselves feel secure in an area of life that's got to do with a lot of self-assured feeling, the way we do about our friends and family. Learn to converse and understand your dating life the way you converse and understand your friends and family life. there's a lot of the same language that you can transpose into your dating life. Right now, we're using a different map, a very, very different map, trying to relate to the opposite sex and dating and all that sort of stuff. And the best we can do is hooking up, treating it very coldly and treating people like objects. No one's happy at the end of the day. You're happy initially, you have a bit of fun, but it gets old very quickly. It's like you're playing the first level of a video game over and over and over again, or you're taking the first puff of a cigarette. The initial point of anything gets very old very quickly. It's the longevity of the journey that's like the fun bit for me as well. Morning, Braddles. How are you? Okay. Questions. Albatross, thank you very much for the super chat donation. His comment is, I voted no at first because I assumed any answer will make her go ballistic, but now I say just bite the bullet and be truthful. Yeah. Have fun. By all means, have fun on the date. But you got to have fun too. I would say that you're not having fun by just making the date fun for her. If you're having fun and then all of a sudden there's a moment by something she says, the conversation naturally goes somewhere. And she says and reacts a certain way where you're internally going, oh God, red flag. And then it's like, well, I won't say anything. You're not having much fun then. You've kind of gone down a level. Rip the Band-Aid off, clarify it, laugh, smile. It's like, what do you mean by that? Whoa, that was a reaction. Find out if she's really fun or you're willfully wanting her to be more fun than she is because you realize you noticed something that's not exactly fun. Clarify it so it's realistically still making the date fun for her and making her happy and stuff. This is about making you happy. And the consequence through someone that's compatible is that she's happy too. But if you're lying to yourself, just like if she's lying to you, everyone cops the lie. We lie to ourselves first, then other people cop our lie too. She lies to herself. As a consequence, she lies to you. Don't do the same thing. You're wasting your time. It's not about her. Chris says, have you ever had a woman tell you she wants to be happy when you were already happy? I still do this. I still to this day don't know why she said this. Yeah, when women want you to change, you're either happy or you're fine, you're content, and it's almost like, oh, you're not, you didn't know, you were hiding this well, I'm fine. This is with these women who want a lot of change all the time. Find this out early on. A woman who wants a lot of variety all the time, yet she wants stability, and you're responsible for the balancing act of constant change and constant stability. And she's going to sit there going, well, I don't have anything to do with this. I just nag you to flip-flop between the two, and I'm the one that judges whether I'm impressed or not. And you don't know if she is. No. I think I told the story a few times of I went on, I think no more than 2 or 3 dates. I went on a date once with a girl, and we went had like a bite to eat for lunch, and I can't remember. I think I had risotto or a burger. And then the second date, we went somewhere else, and then I looked on the menu and there was nothing I liked, so I just had the same thing. There happened to be a burger or risotto again. And she was like, you had that last time, have something else. And I said, no, like, I just feel like a burger. And she wouldn't let it go. And I started to laugh. I said, are you being serious? Like, you won't let me have the burger? She's, pick something else. And I was like, no, I'm going to have the burger. And we were both like laughing, but it was serious. It's like, no, I'm having the burger. And she was like, oh my God, like, you're so annoying. Have something else. Look, why don't you have this? And she would not let it go. And it's like, this isn't going anywhere. I'm laughing because this is ridiculous. Because initially it's laughable because this person's crazy and you're laughing. A month or 2 from now, if I stay with this person, I'm not going to have a smile on my face. We're going to be shouting at each other. I'm going to be depressed. Lover of You says, I lost painting and drawing through my separation last year in a 9-year marriage. Yeah. When you're incrementally losing who you are, the right compatible person should add to your life. If you have to lock parts away or throw parts away, amputate parts permanently from your life, simply to be with this person, they require it as payment. Like, you have to stop going to the gym. You have to stop running. I don't want a guy who just does this. You're in a relationship now. All this blackmail for you to amputate parts of who you are that have nothing to do. Like, I can understand a woman saying, like, well, if we're serious, if you want this to go anywhere, you got to stop dating other women. Well, look, you might be one of these guys. Your standard is like, no, I want to continue to have a mistress, or I want to be able to date other women, but you're my number one chick. If that's your standard, good luck, but you might find a girl that would be able to tolerate that. But I'm talking realistically. No one should ask you to change the core of who you are that has nothing to do with them. If you require fitness and working out, that's your meditation. And she says, no, you can't meditate in that part of your life. You have to get rid of that. I'm everything. It's like, no, you're not. You're actually like, you can't take the meditative part of my life away, what I need to be centered, right? Nor would I ask her to. But that's where all of that stuff comes out in the beginning. Some women I've dated, the incompatibility was their meditation was shopping and a lot of the bullshit female crap that I can't be involved in all the time. She needs me there all the time and it's going to affect our life. I can't be with that person, then it's not compatible to me. Or if she's very extroverted, like I mentioned, the ex who was a traveler, like those are incompatibilities. That's what she found that meditative, constant traveling, and I have to be with that person in their meditation. But you want to find a person that's compatible in a similar meditative way, where I need time to do my thing on my own, and she's got her thing on her own as well. Arthur says, a man should know what his values, but more importantly, why he believes them. You can only do that alone. Yes. The question of why, that's a very important one that clarifies a lot, whether you're on your own or whether you're with someone. If you're on your own, can you answer a lot of the whys, why your life is bad and you're not facing what you should face to make it better? And can you also answer the questions of why you like something? And also, when you're with someone, if someone asks you, why do you love them? Can you tell them why you love them? Are there meaningful words you can describe the person you love? Similarly, why do you love drawing? Why do you love things, people? I've said over and over again, I believe everything in life is a relationship, and knowing why you feel the way you feel about the things you do feel about is really clarifying and liberating, and more so on dates or anywhere else, to be able to stand up and say, I love this because of this. If someone on a date or anywhere sort of says, human, why do you love drawing? Oh, I love it because of this. I grew up with it. It means so much to me in this way. People can see how alive it makes me feel. Have a look at some of the comments with you guys when I start nerding out about microphones and cameras and gear. A lot of you, rightfully so, say, "Oh, look at human, like look at how look at the life that comes out of him. Look at his passion come out. Like this is, I'm being honestly expressive about what means something to me." That's where life is. Don't limit that. Don't filter that in front of somebody. Honest, direct communication. And if they're not there yet, it's not your problem. You could be with someone where you can actually see there's like an inkling of compatibility here, but I might be 10 years ahead of her in terms of I've looked at myself and I've done a lot of work on myself for my life to be better, and she's 10 years behind me. Sorry. If you're 10 years ahead, this could actually be something meaningful, but it's not. We need to be realistic about these things. My coffee's gone, but my electrolyte drink is not. The guy next door says, same applies to women. Don't only look for the Chad, look for the compatible human being. Yeah. Or if you're looking for the Chad as a girl, be honest about it. If you're a guy that's looking just for a bimbo to have fun with, be honest about it. Fine. I have no problem with people living the way they want to live. I do have a problem. My ears have a problem of listening to guys that, like women, they want to eat their cake and have it too. Where, like so many of these women, they'll go on Tinder hooking up, but they'll tell you, I'm not slutting around. I'm actually, I'm waiting for the right guy. It's not, you're not. I'll exaggerate the metaphor to make the point. You can't be at an orgy looking for conversation. You can't be at an orgy saying, but I'm open to meeting the right person. The environment you're in and the way you conduct yourself is where you spend your time. Just like you're conditioned by the 5 closest people in your life. Where you spend most of your time conditions you. You can't spend no time in the environment where you want to be. You can't point yourself in the opposite direction to where you want to be and say, well, I really want to go in that direction. It doesn't work that way. And we know it, but we excuse ourselves because we just want to stay drunk at the nightclub a little longer. It's like, no, you've got to say, well, I've reached my limit. I've had my 2 drinks. I don't want to get drunk. It's time to go home. We have to have that discipline because we find other things in life more important. Now, we're great at justifying our biases and remaining childish and staying too long at the party, but time doesn't care. You get to your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and you can ignore yourself until the grave and point your finger at the world, but time's not going to care, and after a while, no one cares really. Arthur says, Jordan Peterson said in an interview, in order to have a conversation, you have to risk being offensive. Yeah, or you have to risk, like before you know anyone, like if you're just talking generally, people will take things more personally than others. Some people like tough love, some people don't. I really like this color profile. For live streaming, if any of you are interested in this nerdy stuff, Fuji Eterna is brilliant. I'm using Fuji Eterna as a color profile on this stream with it sort of desaturated by 30 or 40%. It's really, really nice, I think. Okay, any more questions in the stream? Otherwise, I'll read some more comments under the recent videos this week. Yeah, Melee says you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. I think Ayn Rand said something similar. She said, you are free to do whatever you want, but you are not free of the consequences of doing whatever you want. So yeah, you can do whatever you want, but you can't ignore the consequences. And I think this is what a lot of the snowflake SJW recent generation want. They want all the privileges without the consequences. They want freedom without consequence. And you can't. It's like I can't, if I want to be jacked and have a huge body, I can't say I want a great physique, but I don't want to feel any of the pain of working out. I don't want any of the discipline and routine and the lifestyle. There's always a payment for something that's worthwhile. And a lot of stuff that's given to you, like a lot of women today, and like you can't just get stuff given to you. I've known this for a while because it's the laws of cause and effect. If I want to love someone, I have to give it. It's a tennis match. Sure, you vet people. You might extend the first olive branch and sort of see what comes back. So it's kind of like someone has to start talking in a conversation. So you at least have to start talking first. You have to give something first. But very quickly, if you're astute enough, you can actually see if it's worth your time or investment. You throw a silver coin out, you don't throw $100 bill out. You know, you sort of see if it's reciprocal, and then you go further and further. You don't jump in the deep end, you dip your toe, and then you go in further and further. So women expect it to be, I say to women, like, you're not lovable because you don't want to give love. You think it's a one-way street of crossing your arms and saying, like, oh, men should love me. I expect a great man. I expect an 8 out of 10, but I'm a 3. But I tell you I'm an 8 because I demand an 8. It's like, no, you're not being realistic. You're not being fair. You want a one-way street of love, and love is a two-way street. Friendship is a two-way street. A compatible hobby, like I love drawing and putting in a lot of effort because my drawing gives me a lot back. You know, no one would meditate if meditation didn't make you feel better. This law of cause and the equal and opposite sort of, I'm searching for a phrase, but I can't think of it. But you know what I mean? That sort of balanced, you give and you get back. If it's not giving back, then it's not compatible. It's not sort of philosophically consistent. It doesn't make sense. You know, like that. That's why realistic philosophical conversations that guys really enjoy having, they go back and forth. They respect an opposing point of view with the civility of saying, no, I disagree, but, and then we can learn something. You know, that cycle has to continue. I'm getting a bit sort of esoteric, but I think you guys can follow what I mean. Some more comments. The guy next door, he left a comment. He said, many women have this habit of making men into their project change. In some instances as men, we are damned if we do and damned if we don't. If she manages to change him, she's suddenly not attracted to him anymore. And if he doesn't change, she will still sit and be frustrated about why he doesn't change. No matter how you feel, and there was a quote he mentioned, he says, no matter how you feed a wolf, she will always look to the forest. That quote was by Anton Chekhov. So basically, if her nature is a certain way, no matter how much you feed this woman, if she's a taker, if she's a mess that's not compatible to you, that's her nature. S. Bentley says, it doesn't matter what you say to any woman. They don't listen to anything they don't want to hear. This is very important. Most women out there, words don't actually mean much. Words are used like magic, as TFM once said. They use words to evoke feelings in a certain interaction between people. They'll say anything to feel good and make the situation feel good. Whereas men, if you're like a lot of us that are interested in these philosophical, very meaningful topics, they don't just sound philosophical. The words actually mean something. It's a 1-2 punch that completes the loop. Whereas women will just sound philosophical. You know, they'll sound like Oprah, where it's a lot of word salad fluff that sounds intelligent, whereas men try and find words that ethically connect to life, that actually are meaningful. So I've said before, with most men, it's hard for them to get to the point of saying I love you, because when they get to that point, it actually means something. We know what love means. We know what it binds us to. And especially today, we know what it legally binds us to if we say those words. Once we cross certain thresholds, we know what it binds us to with women. Both socially, we don't like female disapproval. Everyone says that women are great and you should never make them feel bad, and there's never any reason to make a woman feel bad, and all that kind of stuff, as well as the laws telling you should make a woman feel bad or else there's consequences, buddy. So the words actually mean something when we promise stuff, whereas with women it's nothing. They're just words. I said I loved you yesterday, as now I feel differently. What's your problem, buddy? It's like, well, that's not what promises are. It's like, well, that's what they are to me. What's wrong with you? Most women don't listen to anything they don't want to hear. It's true. They don't care. If they want to hear it, they believe it. If they don't, it's something else. You can give a woman stats and she'll say, well, I refuse to believe that. It's like it's real. Oh, I refuse to believe it. I don't care. I don't know what to tell you other than avoid those kind of people. They'll make your life hell. David P, member, says, I'm I'm curious to hear anyone's thoughts about when someone says, all of my relationships crash and burn, and they're told, you're to blame, be better. As in, like I mentioned in the video, I try and intelligently, like, I own where I think I've gone wrong, where I need to improve. I can definitely point to where I could have done things better, a lot better, where certain things were my fault. And when I kind of point to where I objectively try and be fair and say, well, she was very wrong in this situation, and I have every right to be annoyed and frustrated and see it as a problem. But most women that I've talked to in my life, especially, even in my personal life, family and friends, it's like they'll nod and agree with me judging myself. But when I judge women, women are so self-referential, but they don't like sort of saying, oh, you're judging a woman, your ex. I'm connected to, like, they self-referentially place themselves in you speaking about women in general, even someone they don't know. So yeah, it's difficult getting women to abstractly see the female as an abstract term to talk about. They can't help it. It's very, very hard for them. So yeah, they always say, well, you're the common denominator, human. Every woman you've gone out with, you're the common denominator. So you're the problem. It's like, no, every woman's different. Every woman I went out with wasn't me as well. So I think that's just a very glib Oprah excuse that sounds intelligent. Because the breakups were the result of me knowing myself in very particular ways, where it got to the point where it broke me. It's not like I didn't know what I wanted and she just broke up with me every time and I was obliviously happy all the time. Then you could say it's my problem. I'm the common denominator. You're happy all the way up until the moment she just dumps you and you have no idea why. Then I'm the common denominator because I'm blissfully ignorant. But if I'm part of that dynamic and I'm struggling with ethics and values, it is very unfair to say it's 100% my problem because I'm the common denominator. That's kind of woman Oprah logic. I'm the consistent value that's disappointed. Yeah, because I'm not dragging around all my other women in every relationship I go into. Anyway. Yeah. I can't stand that. Well, you're the common denominator, human. Mobile McSmarty says, this is the truth of my major relationships, then the ones over and the ones over and the ones about to be. He gives a scenario. The girl says, I'm leaving. He says, but why? I love you. I'm happy with the girl I found and I like our life. And she says, you're not doing blah, blah, blah. And he says, I've never done it. Maybe I can't. Maybe I just don't want to. I was pretty explicit about never promising something I can't deliver on. And he says also pretty 100% sure on delivering on what I said I would. So it's kind of disappointing how this is now overlooked. Yeah, they overlook what you do well. It's like bad jobs where they can constantly point out your faults, but they never appreciate what you do really well. He continues. He says, would you rather I pretend? And she says, nothing. So she doesn't want you to pretend. She wants it to be naturally and magically you. You do everything she wants now. And so he says, so I'm still the same person as you were happy with when you met me and you fell in love with. And she says, yes. But she says, I'm still leaving. And he says, bye. It doesn't make sense. It's basically she doesn't want to take responsibility for changing. She wants you to be responsible for not changing with her. But you're not connected to her brain. You haven't got like a plug from here to there that you're emotionally, on the same directional path if she decides to change without you. And a lot of times, a person doesn't change overnight. This actually points to her changing over time, staying quiet, lying, hiding it, and then laying it all on you because it's gotten too much for her. She needs you to change with her or it's over. That doesn't happen from one day to the next. That happens over weeks and months. I would say months and years. And it points to her culpability of lying, keeping it from you, putting on a fake mask that everything's good, and her hoping you'd change without even knowing. You might not know. So that all points to her lying, and the dam's broke, and she can't lie anymore. But she unfairly puts it all on you. Elusive Man says, you hit the nail on the head, human. When you notice the fact that they don't care what we desire as men, the unmitigated gall of women is mind-boggling. They view men as Ken doll actors in the fantasy that is their life. Big John once said that the real reason women cannot love men is the fact that they never accept the man as who he is, but attempt to transform him into almost immediately to match the mold she has in her mind. Yes, both parties, men and women, but especially women, do this right from the start. They really, like, you're raw material for this vision she has of her life and who you're supposed to be. Whereas most guys are just grateful that they're with someone that they like, and they hope it grows into something organically. Men don't really have a lot of expectations, if any, of women that they initially meet and they just like being with. They sort of do this and say, I hope this lasts. I like this. I want it to keep going. A woman is like, oh, finally, the raw material to do something. I found a dump that I can convert, I can renovate into my dream home. That's like a lot of women go on dates with. You are raw material for her future vision. Whereas most guys is like, this is my future. But it really isn't. But he doesn't know that. Big John said that the reason women cannot love men is the fact that they never accept the man for who he is, but attempt to transform him almost immediately into who she has in her mind. No matter how committed you were to being honest and loving, she was going to use her tongue spatula to lay bricks of doubt in people's minds to ensure that she emerges from the breakup as both the victor and the victim. He quotes, some of the most successful relationships are based on lies and deceit. Since that's where they usually end up, it's a logical place to start. Sun Tzu, the Lord of War. Look, I wouldn't agree with starting with deceit, because you believe that it's inevitable, that it's going to always end in deceit and lies. Why bother starting? I don't value lying. I don't like lying to myself. So why would I actually flip around my values and my ethics just to have some tail? Nah, I don't agree with that. It's a very kind of modern, art of war sort of mentality where everything is a victory to you and nothing's sort of like a fair compatibility. Life is about what you can take from people and like F the world and F people. Yes, the world is very callous and the world uses everyone much more than in the past. But in your little bubble, you want to have a good personal world of friends, family, hobbies, things where you come home to that are tranquil in your life. When you start seeing all of your world, both your internal and your external world, as just means to an end to exact resources and use things, not a fun life, not a fun life. It looks good when you're watching psychopaths in movies, but not really if you have to live that life. Boffin said, experience has taught me that even if you change to meet her every whim, given enough time, she will demand you change something back to the way it was before. Men of antiquity adopted the practice of burying corpses 6 feet deep because they knew if graves were any shallower, the women of the village would constantly be rearranging the coffins. That's a great saying. We buried coffins 6 feet deep so women wouldn't rearrange them. Well, this is the thing where a lot of incompatible partners, all they do is rearrange the external furniture to stay together. Let's change the window dressing. Let's change the couch. Let's move the bed from here to there. No, I want the wall yellow. Now I want it black. Now I want it red. Now a new car. Let's go on another holiday. It's just changing the cosmetics to get a shopping thrill out of your relationship until you need another fix again. No, I can't do that because I don't need that in my personal life. And you just need to come to terms with, like, who are you on your own? require that and demand that of a relationship. It doesn't need to be the same, but where you feel happy and tranquil, it needs to be coming from the same place. These variety-seeking, bored individuals, avoid them, gentlemen. Avoid them like I can't even say the word, Plague. I don't even know what I can say anymore. Pure Male says, I had the exact same shit happen with the travel girl. Yeah, I can't be the only one that went out with the travel girl. That sort of, you have to live on holiday with her. You can never come home to her. When you think you're living with her at home, when you've got a stable everyday relationship, she's on holiday. She wants to live out there. That's where home is to her. So if you're a person that likes to live at home, don't pretend you can live on holiday. Or if you're a girl that loves living on holiday, don't pretend that's home, because it's very hard. Or, I wish my ex happiness, where I hope she found another travel person. Maybe she did. There's a lot of people like that out there. I'm not. I enjoy traveling every now and then as a treat, but I know where home is. That's the difference. Know where home is for you, gentlemen and ladies. Down to stand up, he says, a person suffers most when they want to control but can barely control themselves. Yeah, a lot of these women who can't control themselves, they don't know what they want, they do their best to nag and try and control their boyfriend and partner and husband, because it's much easier, what's that word? Projecting and living through someone else. A lot of parents, they do it through their kids. They control their kids a lot because they could never do it themselves. The father pushes his son to become an athlete because he could never be bothered, or he could never go that far. The woman is very demanding and overbearing with her daughter because she could never achieve that. So it's really easy to nag another person into being what you're too lazy to be yourself. Bradle said, like a good car salesman, the objective is to persuade the prospect to believe they wanted the product. Knowing what you must have or not have prior to signing up is the key to avoiding buyer's remorse. Yeah, if you need to really be strong about knowing what you do want and what you don't want because you've researched it. In the same way, if you research the car you really want, you spend a long time doing that work, you will notice a sleazy car salesman trying to kind of make you do what you want, what he wants you to do. You have to kind of do your research before you start dating. Do research about what you want and be very, very firm about it. Dean says, he gives a scenario. Him, consistency is the most important ingredient for success in any endeavor. Her, when are you going to change? So yeah, when you're getting to know a girl, relay to her directly through the words or indirectly through direct conversation that's important to you, that consistency is important to you. You can't tolerate lies. You like someone who knows what they want. You like a person who's not afraid. You don't like political correctness, like whatever it is. Just show your character and tell them you want consistency and stability in your life. And if she's like, well, I love traveling, I love change, I get bored easily. That statement, when women say, I get bored very easily, most guys are like, well, I'll keep you entertained. I'll be the guy that's not boring. That's most guys' reflex. But you need to know yourself to the degree to which you stop those reflexes. So when you hear a woman say, I get bored easily, you stop the biological reflex to impress and go, well, I'll be the variety guy that'll entertain you. You say, no, I don't like that, because you're going to be a train wreck of a person to go out with. So you've got to recognize what it means and clarify it and say, so you get bored with your boyfriends, do you? What's the longest relationship you've been on? Start to clarify where her boredom comes from and if she's just bullshitting you. So pay attention to asking her those very important questions or indirect questions or things you notice, like, I get bored easily, what it means. Explore it through conversation so you get a very clear understanding of how she gets bored. Because I can get bored in certain situations, but I don't get bored on my own. I don't get bored because I've got a lot of hobbies. I get bored around mundane, normie conversation, boring women who are all about their looks and they have nothing to talk about. They are boring to me. So clarify where your boredom is, how you get bored. I don't get bored on my own with interesting people, with people who are grounded to reality. Hey, JJ, how you going, man? Thanks for showing up. Dean continues. He says, yes, I'm being facetious, but change can be good so as long as it's in the right direction, aka growth. The foundation of the question is, when are you going to change is rooted in instant gratification as it implies that change is instantaneous and not a long-term journey that one goes on. Change occurs bit by bit with small wins every day. Yesterday, you responded to negativity instead of reacting. Today, you used thank you more than usual. It's it's almost imperceptible unless you're already looking for it. And if you're, put your glasses on, human. And if you're with someone who notices the small changes, keep them close and show appreciation. The vast majority of people are too far into themselves to notice what others are doing. Yeah, change takes time. As I said, when a chick just gives you an ultimatum, it means that she was lying and keeping silent about the boiling pot over time. She didn't communicate. She wasn't honest. She kept it from you. And all of a sudden the dam breaks and she's boiling. And either you change or she's leaving. That means she wasn't communicating because you were fine the way the things were. She was the one that wasn't fine and she didn't communicate it over time. Change takes time. So I would say almost with certainty, these women that give you ultimatums, like where is this relationship going? I want this by this time, otherwise I'm out of here. It's like she wasn't being honest for a while. She kept things from you. Be interested enough to notice those things. Notice how that stuff operates. So then when this stuff happens, you can talk to her about it. You're not going to be sort of stunned. We just don't want to talk negatively how women sabotage and psychologically manipulate. And they are the best. Between men and women, they are the most skilled. Yet we pretend that they're like a 3-year-old, 5-year-old girl. I don't want to go too low in case someone accuses me of something begin with P. Prince Revolver says, the minute you change is the minute she complains about how you changed. Yeah, you have to mind read the change in a way that you trust she wants you to change. Like, how are you supposed to know? This is the thing. Unless you know how to speak and be lighthearted and reveal things through conversation naturally, you aren't going to know things that are very compatible with you. Say in the bedroom, how are you supposed to know if she's very conservative or she likes it rough? How? Unless you're socially inept and very blunt. Otherwise, like, everyone's going to be turned away. Conversation. You know, being able to notice things, read between the lines, ask questions, getting to know someone. You won't get to know someone with the 10 pickup lines that the gurus are telling you. The way you get to know someone is to know yourself well through how you speak and think and not be afraid of talking about things. Thomas says, remember when you asked me on our first day as a couple what expectations I had of you? And I said none. And you say, yeah. She says, well, I guess it turned out I did have a lot of expectations. And this was the video I made. I laid out my expectations, who I was, what was important to me, no kids. I do like this, I don't like this. I'm more of a homebody. I'm not an outgoing extrovert, blah, blah, blah. And she's nodding. And then later on, a lot of my exes were like, yeah, remember at the start when I didn't say anything? Well, turns out it's really important to me now. And it's like, now, a year later, are you kidding me? Well, I'm just a girl and I really liked you. And it's like, oh, I don't care. This is like, I just wasted my time and your time. Like, I care enough about you that I don't want to waste someone's time I think is a nice person. Like, but why did you do this? Like, am I supposed to feel bad now because I'm not changing? Like, I can't turn love into sympathy. This is what so many guys do. is they confuse sympathy with love. You can't. Love is not a conversation of sympathy and lust. It's not. Like real, like what used to be respectable romantic love, like long term, is trust, respect, and compatibility. It's not lust and pity. Because when you operate under lust and pity as your definition of love, then you'll just say yes and do whatever she wants. It's like your daughter, oh, Daddy, I'm crying, I want an ice cream. All right. I pity you and I'm bigger than you and I want to protect you and blah, 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 blah. And you're just having that sort of lust-pity relationship with someone. Greg says, Human once mentioned that each gender often inappropriately projects their personality characteristics onto one another. I think in this case, women assume the man will change his mind since they do so often and repeatedly. Yes, they think, what's your problem, Human? Why can't you change your mind like a boyfriend is supposed to do? Like you're being really cold and stubborn. Like, oh my God, cry, cry, cry. Every woman would agree with me. Most guys do this. It's like, yeah, most guys are miserable when they do this. This is the complaint between men and women. This is why it doesn't last every time you don't speak and you're not compatible. Yeah, women are projecting a lot of this time. Because they change so often, they expect that you should change. But how is, even between your friends, that's why a lot of these women can't even keep long-term friendships. It's like no one's going to magically, like it's such a lottery win that you change your mind, you change who you are, your direction in life, and your best friend, like say for instance, you and your best friend are always hiking. Then like over time, like it's like, yeah, you've been hiking a while, all of a sudden you become like, no, you know what? I'm getting a job in corporate, I'm stopping hiking and I'm going to start skiing. And your friend's like, oh, Human, you know what? That's what a coincidence. I felt like stopping hiking too. And I want to get a corporate job and I want to start skiing too. Oh my God, we're such great friends. Never happen. You two on your hike have to be talking about these changes in life. And if you both are willing to do this, most times it doesn't happen. And that's the scary conversation because I think deep down women know that the reality is like you're not going to magically change massive parts of your life. You're not going to go from being a hiker and being compatible in your personalities and what you love doing, and then all of a sudden you really want to do something completely different that takes you away from hiking, and your best friend magically says, you know what, I wanted to give away hiking as well, and I want to do skiing too, Human. Not going to happen. And women don't want to be responsible for that really rational change in direction, and so they'll foist it on you because a good guy should just follow whatever his woman wants. No, he shouldn't. In the same way when they give you this dumb logic of if you have a fight, the guy should always ring and apologize no matter, even if it wasn't your fault, because that's what a nice guy is, because she feels and she's a girl. And no, F off. There's too many women earning their own money, careers and stuff. Women are very capable today and they keep telling you they are, and they won't do anything because they're independent and all that. Like, no, you're a human being. You're an adult. No, sorry. My life is not like a log that you throw on your fire to keep yourself warm, lady. Sorry. Prince of Revolver says, a lot of women think being cute is a cute personality, and it's not. It's not. Yep, it's not. Any, let's see, have we got any more questions in the stream? I've been reading comments under the video. Okay. Sorry, were there any super chats while I was blabbing that I missed on? Comments. Ted1775 says, my daughter's words are take me to the Ultra Beauty store. Yeah, Arthur, that marriage is the only contract you can break up because you feel different. It's the only contract in English law that allows you to break the contract just because you feel differently. You just change your mind. There's no other contract where you can't break it other than big consequences. Yeah, a man suffers consequences for breaking the marriage, but it's the only contract where especially a woman suffers almost none. She doesn't like being around the guy. She wins. She's not around him anymore. He gets for her to pay for her lifestyle, and so does the government. She gets the kids. She gets money for the kids. She gets her freedom. She gets to shop for another guy again. It's basically all win-win if a woman decides to break up. But it's the only contract. And most importantly, that women don't suffer. And you'll get the dumb bimbo saying, yeah, but human inside we suffer. Like, yeah, okay. That's why you wanted a divorce, because you wanted to suffer? I don't think so. Quasi-Mandai says, I think it's dangerous to put too much instance on consistency. People do learn, hopefully, and do mature, and life is dynamic. Yeah, I agree. I believe great relationships are continually renegotiated. True, but via the mechanism of communication. I don't like this starting to keep a private life, not saying what you should because of the fear of adjusting like a perfect world. Through conversation and open communication, you can decide to stay on the same page or not. Life does change, people grow. Hopefully, the more compatible you are, you're open to accommodating each other, growing in similar directions, allowing the person to grow slightly differently while still maintaining the consistency where you both set a trajectory for in life. I'm not a black and white person. I have a loose grip on life, and I've learned that was the best way to be for consistency. You hold on too tight, everything just breaks. Life is inflexible. You need to bend a bit. But if the two of you are going to agree to have a consistency of life, it needs to be based on something. Otherwise, why would I agree to a commitment further on? It's really, really lubricated by conversation and openness. So you can, like you said, negotiate the changes and the flexibility of life and where it takes each of you. Discipline equals freedom says, sounds like human is pragmatic and wants to live his life where he can be the most proficient and efficient he can be, but that flies over women's head most of the time. Well, this is why we need to insist that we're in control of whether or not we have a relationship with this person. We need to insist that we say the things we need to say, and we need to insist that we do it even against our own biology, where it says, don't make Pumpkin unhappy. Chicky Poo's going to be upset or mad. Be open, be direct. Continually be the realist and insist that she's realistic and pragmatic, that she's on your page. If she's not, don't be with her. Pragmatism and realism is very, very important to me. Stability and consistency is very important to me. Open communication, and as Quaz mentioned, if life changes, like I'm always having dialogue with myself to sort of change my life, change jobs that no longer fit me anymore, and I would want to do that with a person as well. Have that same dialogue with the person I'm with. Just the guy says, everything being said here so far is making the case against marriage, serious relationships in a traditional sense, and still people cling to it as the mature option. Again, I still say, like, if you're very pragmatic and you're so much of a realist, I would still say for those guys who really want marriage and kids, you can still do it, and it's very hard. And I'm not saying you're going to have success, but if you're very focused and realistic and mature about how you want to go about it, and you're not going to compromise, and I'm not saying you're looking for, now it's more and more you're looking for unicorns out there because most women are trash. They're not marriageable. That's why men aren't marrying them, because men are sensible. They have to be. Otherwise, if they're not sensible, they end up homeless. So men are very pragmatic and realistic. So the really realistic option, if you're going out there blind dating, the realistic option is like, yeah, I'm dating with my arm extended. I'm not seriously dating because no women are serious. They're not serious worthy. But if your filter is, I'm not wasting my time on the carousel with these undateable, unmarriageable women, if you know you want to marry and have kids, then you enjoy your single life, you enjoy the fruits of your life with your family and friends, and you only leave the door unlocked for the woman that has that key, that you vet through very, very intentional conversation, and your ears are listening over the long term to see if you can trust her, that she's not acting. Again, nothing in life is guaranteed, but if you want something, I'm not a believer in denying yourself what you want out of life if you can realistically achieve it. It's really hard with women today, but do what you really want. If you've got a calling, do it. If that involves women, do it. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. You still may be single because there's not very marriageable women out there. But especially you've got to factor in your personality. There might be a marriageable woman if she's an extrovert, but if you're an introvert, she's not going to be marriageable under the context of who you are. It's not easy, guys, but it's not black and white either. If you treat every woman as the majority, which most of them are, like if you're going in there blind, treating yourself as just a guy and she's just a girl, they're all dangerous and none of them are worth marrying. I agree. But if you go out into the world as being your conscious you, I'm me, and I'm looking for another conscious Jane, Betty, Jane, or whoever, I'm paying attention to the conscious individual because that's the person I want to be with if I want a serious relationship. That's how you have to operate. If you don't want to take personal responsibility and just be a guy with biological needs who picks up women by lines, and you don't let out your personality and you don't care about how you think and you talk, and you're just going to treat her like another hot chick in a dress that is just a biological female that has female traits and all women are like that and yada, 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 then you're just going to get the majority. You'll almost 100% get the same train wreck that everyone else is getting out there. And you're relying on luck. That's all you're relying on. Because I'm so intentional with the way I think and how I insist my life is generated. I know there's a lot of luck involved, but as much as I can insist I generate my luck, I will get more of the life I want. I make my own luck more than the person that's very unintentional, who's sleepwalking through the biology of dating. Does that make sense? Does that word salad make sense that I just blabbed? Just a guy says, either a serious relationship or promiscuity is a false dichotomy. Still, people refuse to think on new ways to do things. Yeah. People refuse to live in the gray area of life. You can be very black and white about your values and ethics while you conduct yourself in that. Like the whole world is a gray area. Have your values and ethics as your black and white bubble around you that none of these bimbos will get through. That's your rigid structure. But trying to make the world rigid is a fool's errand. Know thyself, don't know thy world. Know thyself, do not know the women. Like, it's good to know female nature, because when you go on a date, every woman is like every other woman until you start to talk and listen and start to materialize the woman in front of you as Jane. She might be named Jane, but you don't really see Jane until you start talking to her and listening and forming her as a personality, because that's the person you may be potentially wanting to trust. You can't trust all women. You can't. 0% chance. You can't. Back in our grandparents' day, your grandfather could trust women 5 or 10% of the time because women and men were held to a socially approved standard. So there was that 5 or 10% that would chaperone you on a blind date with someone. Now it's 0. Everyone's an individual who thinks that using people is okay. You have to be in control of you. The world is grey. Clarify you. Stop trying to clarify women and the world. The world's going to do what it wants. The only thing you've got as much control as you can is over you. That's it. Insist on generating the world you want. It's still hard. You still don't have a lot of control, but you have as much control as you're realistically going to have, is like making it mostly about the way you operate and what you choose and how you speak. How long have we been going? An hour and a half. So yeah, I think the feed's going to, every time I change screens, the feed switches off. I think it's something to do with Streamlabs OBS. So should you avoid the issues? This was the question I posed in the poll before this stream. I'm saying on dates, don't avoid what's important to you. Because if you do, you are making it all about her. Don't fool yourself. You're not a Chad. You're not a smooth talker. You are submitting to her. If you avoid what's important, if you avoid speaking the way you are and being yourself, you are making it about her more than about you. Don't think you're smooth and you're in control and you're the alpha. If you're not yourself and you don't say what you want to say and address the topics that are important to you, it's more about her than you. And should you change? I say no. Be honest up front. If she changes later, not your problem. It's her fault. Ah, cool. The feed stayed there. I hit the right setting. Any last questions, guys? And we'll wrap up the stream so you guys can enjoy your Saturday evening and go to bed, and the other people in Australia, you can enjoy your Sunday afternoon. It's really nice and sunny. I love this Fuji Eternal filter. Even when the sun blows me out, it doesn't turn the image into a dumpster fire. Thomas says, human, I always go back to when you stated women are only disappointed when expectations are not met. Well, all of us are disappointed when our expectations aren't met, but we need to be realistic about them. And especially if you talked about them and you have realistic expectations because you're both aware of them. They're not just in your head and you secretly hope that, like women do, that they read your mind and they know what you want. Tell them what you want. Fuck romanticism. Like if she doesn't know you like it a certain way in the bedroom, you never told her, and you break up because you tell the guys, oh, she never did this well. It's like, did she know? Like she might not be good at, but like this mind reading as an excuse to break up that women do, and then a lot of guys are doing it now. I just think it's stupid. If it's out in the open and then your expectations are constantly eroded because the person doesn't care and is not listening to you, that's different. But people can't read minds. And mind reading is just an excuse for the person not having the courage to communicate. And you're trying to avoid a potentially awkward conversation because you're so romantically wedded to them just understanding you. The reason that you're in love is because it just clicks all the time without communication. That is so dumb. Nothing else in life around people works that way. Like that you're always 100% happy and you never communicate. I mean, even people who can't hear do sign language. Jeez. Humans said the C word. Did I? Communicate. Okay. Any last comments, guys? And let's wrap this up. Any last super chats? Any last comments? Add a bunch of emojis in front of your comments. Like, subscribe, comment, join the channel, interact, do something. YouTube loves it. Put your fingers to the keyboard, put your mouse to the screen. Hey, James Von Maxwell, how are you, man? Are you here as well? Where are you? Have you changed your avatar? I can't see you. Okay. No more questions? Oh, no, there you are. Hey, James, hope you're doing well. Yeah, I haven't talked to you for a little while. I see your streams pop up every now and then while I'm asleep. Eric, thank you very much for the super chat. He says, appreciate your hard work and insight as always. You've helped me out a lot. Glad I could help, Eric. Leo K, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much. Any last comments or super chats, and we'll wrap it up, because I really hate when I end the stream and there were like one or two super chats and I didn't read them out and people donated, I feel like crap. I feel I wasn't fair. I'm a very fair person. I try to be. I'm not very fair. I'm just fair. I don't want to exaggerate like I'm some angel. Sebastian says, what do you spiritually think about women being described as empty shells full of demons? That's a bit theatrical to me. I'm not a big fan of overly theatrical descriptions of things where it feels like it's very Shakespearean. Like people, when they talk about kings and queens and like she's got to be a queen and you're the king and you build an empire together. It's like, make it a bit more realistic, will you? Use like normal language, bring it to realistic, ethical sort of descriptions, workable things. Otherwise, if we're constantly describing things as like evil and demons and kings and queens and kingdoms and blah, 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 it gives us an excuse to externalize and fictionalize how we see relationships working. And they don't work in kingdoms and good and evil and stuff like that. They're more likely she's a CUNT and you're frustrated and you're working jobs and you're tired and you can't sleep. Like, keep the language there. That's more useful to me. Yeah, it can be sort of an intelligent language and we can talk intelligently, but I don't like where, you know, it's like we're shaking so much theatrical chili over the meal of what we're talking about. Last questions, guys, and let's wrap it up. Let's see. What would you rate the microphone out of 10, guys? Just give me a quick rating compared to the last couple of weeks. Because I'll be able to hear this after the stream, of course. But a quick test was like, yeah, it was fine. I just wanted to try a new mic out. Okay. Prince Revolver, thank you very much for the super chat. His comment is, human. Why is that women in society shame men for being emotionally unintelligent just because we think and feel differently from women? They shame us so women aren't responsible, because women aren't emotionally intelligent. They aren't. They don't speak. They keep a lot to themselves. They use the excuse of they're just girls. They cry. They can cry in the courtroom. They get sympathy. We don't. We have to be pragmatic. Our words need to mean something. What we did matters. We can't feel a certain way. So it's projection and it's women absolving themselves of responsibility. That's why society shames men. We don't like shaming women because we don't like making women feel bad. It's a biological instinct. If women feel bad, they don't want, a woman who's crying isn't in the mood to go to bed, doesn't produce kids. She needs to be happy and safe and feel good and happy, all that kind of stuff, security. So making women feel the opposite is always the inclination of men in society. That's why we shame men, because we actually like feeling good about something. So we shame men, like even men with each other, be better, run faster, improve. And then when we do improve, we feel better. Men pat us on the back, women pat us on the back, society pats us on the back. So it's just shaming women doesn't work. It works for if women are wrong and intentionally abusive, women works for you. Your life is better. Generally, in life, in nature, in biology, women, men, shaming women doesn't work. It's actually the opposite of what works. But I'm all about what works for you in this circus environment of a matriarchy that we have out there. Echo says, human wants open discussion, yet his mods put me in timeout. Echo, because you're a troll. I'll say it openly. On my comments, you love poking and prodding and getting a reaction out of me. You're always negative. You don't want a conversation. And I'll bet my house that the mods here put you in timeout because you're acting the same way. You're a provocateur. You don't say enough to get yourself banned, but you keep poking and prodding, and you're a troll. That's why people put you in timeout. That's why most people ignore you in the comments. That's why I stopped taking the bait with your comments a long time ago. Go somewhere else if you wanna troll. Don't care. I don't want to debate you. I don't want a provocative debate with you. You get off on it. I don't. Most people don't. Okay, guys, any last comments? Okay, Sean rated my microphone as a 9.5. Rocket Scientist 10 out of 10. Wow. Arthur 8.75 out of 10. Okay, so this is pretty good. Pretty good mic, according to most people. Bittersweet, actually, because it's not my favorite mic, and it's actually, this is the cheapest mic I have. I got my friend to, for mic lovers, like I like microphones, but I put this microphone together as a fun test, where my friend has got a 3D printer. So he printed me a shell, which cost $2. This whole microphone shell cost $2. And I put a really cheap $20 microphone capsule in here to just so it looks more presentable on screen, like a Shure SM7B, because I'm not going to pay $700 for a Shure SM7B, and it probably wouldn't sound good on my voice, a Shure SM7B. And I Frankenstein this together for $22, whereas like microphones that are really good that I have is like $350, $400. My favorite microphone is like $300. So I'm glad you guys like it, and I can put this on and throw it around and not give a crap about it. Well, it works. Anyway, guys, if there's no further questions, no further super chats, comments, etc., like, subscribe, hit the bell, join if you feel like it. It helps this channel out, interact in some way. If you have a microphone, feel free to jump on my Discord. The link to my Discord is in my About section, I think on my YouTube channel. And yeah, that's the most current link. Any other links you find under videos might actually be old links that have expired. So the current link to my Discord is in my About section on my YouTube channel. Yeah, and have a good weekend. And I will catch you in the next video. And yeah, I'm going to see if I can start drawing more, and you'll see more of my drawings on my videos, if I can come up with it, so you don't just see my ugly mug in thumbnails, because you're going to have to see them when I'm talking, I suppose. All right, guys, have a good weekend. I'll catch you soon. And yeah, later. Bye.